number of Dutch children's book illustrators recently spoke about the artists in history who had inspired them. The artist whose name came up most frequently was Henri Matisse. Matisse managed to achieve maximum effect with minimal means. His work is not about complicated paintings with lots of shadow and depth, but accurate lines without any fuss. Less is more. The same applies to many Dutch illustrators of children's books, such as Annemarie van Haringen, Philip Hopman, and Sylvia Wever, whose work is characterised by an expert use of lines and the deliberate omission of details.
People often ask me, where do I get my inspiration? And that's a difficult question because there are so many answers. Sometimes an idea flies into my head and I can do something with it, or you have to get the idea and make it. And for instance, I made a book, The Princess with the Long Hair. It's about a princess, or it was a girl with very long hair. And I had an image in my head about a girl with very, very, very long hair. And it was so much she had to carry it in 2 suitcases. And that was what I had. And then I made the beginning of a story about a baby princess who was born with very long hair. And in the end, she's marrying someone. But I couldn't tell the whole story. But that's how I start with books, with an image of it. Also, another one is a man who cuts his bread with a pair of scissors, and that's also the start of a picture book, The Boy Who Sniped His Bread. And in the end, he became a boy, of course. He invented a whole new world.
Their work rarely involves hesitant or tentative efforts. Instead, it is all about strong, definite shapes and areas of colour. This is as true of the flying objects in Dan Remets de Vries's work as it is of the expressive power of Harry Gelen's paintings. Even in the serene illustrations of Mance Post, who as an older artist made the move from delicate pencil drawings to solid lino cuts, the motto remains less is more. This is even more true of Dick Brunner, the master of the less is more approach. He reduces all of his figures to the essence of the form. The computer has also made it easier to create the effect of cut-out forms in different sorts of paper, because scissors and glue are no longer required to make collages.
I work with the computer because I started to get bored with drawing by hand. When a drawing didn't work out the way I wanted it, I had to start all over again. And when I discovered the computer, I saw that I don't have to start all over again when something goes wrong, but I can simply erase the last line and go on. When I make a drawing by hand of a children's choir, I don't start because I know that the 17th child will go wrong and I'll have to do it all over again. I have to start all over again. On the computer, I simply draw child by child by child, and when the 17th child is wrong, I simply erase that 17th child and go on. And that's why I could make a children's choir as a choir of over 300 children.
For many Dutch illustrators, the computer plays only a marginal role. They scan in their illustrations and send them digitally to the publisher. Others find it impossible to imagine how they might work without a computer. One such illustrator is Wouter van Reyk, whose Cape Vogel character was first a cartoon figure for the television and only later became the star of a series of books. It could be said that the history of modern children's book illustration in the Netherlands begins with Fiep Westendorp and her contemporaries. Westendorp's work is closely connected to the most famous Dutch children's writer, Annie M.G. Schmid. World-famous illustrator Max Feldhaus enjoyed a long career as a graphic designer before he made his breakthrough as an illustrator with his creation of Kikker, or Frog as he is known in the English translations. Some artists, including Jan Jutte and Wouter van Rijk, have elevated the comic strip to an art form. The white of the paper is extremely important for the atmosphere of Dutch illustrations. Even if the white is covered with paint, the paper usually still shines through. This can clearly be seen in the work of Ingrid and Dieter Schubert and Annemarie van Haringen, for example, where the texture of the paper contributes to the appearance of their work. However, the white in an illustration is often just an area of blank paper, as in the work of Siep Postuma, Sylvia Wever, Mans Post and Fleur van der Weyl.
Drawing is my way to give my vision about how I look at the world. So it's my music, it's my almost my talking in a way to people as I look around me. So that's my vision. My drawings is the way I look at the world. The materials I use are mostly ink and pencil. I always start on paper. But of course in these times we have to make apps and digital variations, but I always start in ink and paper.
Wim Hofmann often pre-treats his surfaces with white or lightly tinted paint because he's interested in the texture this creates. Dutch illustrators see the variety of their collected work as typically Dutch, along with the sense of humour, the use of scissors and the lack of prissiness, and also the importance of light. It's also true to say that full-page pictures are relatively rare in Dutch illustration, although there are some excellent examples, including Charlotte Demeton's sophisticated paintings. What all of the children's book illustrators included in this exhibition have in common is literature. One of Tae Chong King's picture books recently won a literary award. This was most unusual because this particular book did not contain a single letter. Cecily Josephus Jitte actually won 2 prizes for her book Lola and the Least Cat, one for the illustrations and one for the writing. When, at the request of her publisher, Marit Turnquist, somewhat reluctantly added some words to a short love story she had drawn, she promptly won a prize for the story. A committee selected picture book creator Yvonne Jachtenberg as the winner of a generous financial prize for the oeuvre of a new writer of children's books. Their decision was based on the literary merits of her illustrations. The harmony between words and pictures in the work of Hofmann and van Leuven and the experimentation in van Lieshout's work ensure that the books they create are perceived as single, indivisible works of art. Margriet Heijmans' illustrations, perhaps even more so than the stories she writes, suggest an inner space, a timeless time, an elusive reality.